Awesome. Let's get started. Thank you, everybody, for joining in today. We're going to talk about flexi benefits for your employees. Now, before I get started, quick introduction about me. My name is Avlasha. I handle key accounts at Pascare. Before working with Pascare, I've had about 8 years of experience. I've worked with Townscript, I've worked with Misho, then I went on to work with Finbox, and I had a brief stint at Simple. Super excited to be here and share some key insights on designing the most efficient tax saving plan for your employees. And a very brief introduction about PasCare. So, we primarily started off as an insurtech company. We are a full stack employee benefits platform wherein we are able to offer wellness, insurance, and tax saving benefits all under one umbrella. Now, here are some quick stats for you, right? About 80% of the HRs believe that employee benefits are only restricted to health insurance, which means about 20% only believe that there can be benefits given over and above health insurance, such as professional development, or it could be tax saving benefits, or any kind of personal finance benefits that you could give out to your employees, right? Now, in today's session, we will basically be talking about what flexi benefit is. We will learn about how organizations are boosting their tax saving benefit offering without shelling out excess capital, and at the same time creating useful employee perks package at the workplace. Since attracting and retaining talent is always a priority for organizations, and anytime and anywhere, apart from offering a competitive salary, companies are also increasingly implementing employee benefit plans to enhance employee satisfaction and meet their diverse needs. So, flexi benefit plan, it allows employees to choose specific components which are part of their CTC and personalize their benefits as per their needs, resulting in tax saving over and above the investments made under ATC and ATD of the Income Tax Act. Now, what exactly, before we get started, a quick poll for everybody here, right? So, you guys could just type out your responses in the chat box. Do you currently offer any kind of health insurance, any kind of flexi benefits over and above the health insurance to your employees? So, you could type out either one, two, or three, or four, and accordingly, we'll see how the responses come in. I will give everybody a minute or two, and you could sort of share your responses in the chat box. Lovely. I see a lot of yeses. So amazing to see that there are HRs offering over and beyond benefits over and beyond health insurance. So that's a good news. Great. So just a quick heads up about the responses that we got, right? Let's say that, if you want to offer the, yes. So for those of you who are offering flexi benefits, yes, good. I mean, I will also talk about some of the other benefits that you could offer. For those of you who want to implement it but who are not sure how to do it, you are at the right place, right? In today's session, I'm going to be talking about what are the best practices to implement flexi benefits in any organization. Why is it that you should be implementing it now more than ever, right? We are at the most crucial time of our financial year. We are at the tax season of our financial year. So I will take you through the best practices to implement this. For those of you who want to implement flexi benefits but do not have a lot of employees in the tax lab, that's still okay. Even if there are a limited set of people who fall under the taxable income, even in the best of their interest, it's always a good practice to sort of opt for flexi benefits for them, because any kind of savings is still better than zero savings, right? And last, if you don't have the budget but you want to implement it, that's the best part about flexi benefits. All you need to do is have a policy in place, have the necessary components that you want to offer to your employees in the next financial year, and get your employees' consent. That's all it takes for you to implement flexi benefits. Now, let's dig in a little deep, right? What flexi benefit is. Now, as per the government, there are about 10 components on which you are exempted from paying taxes. These components are part of your CTC, and these components are basically food, fuel, telecom, gifts, learning and development, gadgets and equipments, books and periodicals, health and wellness, travel and LTA, and uniforms. So all of these exemptions are available under Section 10 and Section 17 of the Income Tax Act, right? Now, these are flexible because, as per the company's policies, these limits are flexible in setting the upper limits of the components, right? Now, when we talk about the food wallet, as per the government, you are able to sort of purchase food or meal or any kind of groceries during your office hours. If you own a motor vehicle, could be a four-wheeler or could be a two-wheeler, you are able to fill in petrol, transact at petrol pumps, and save on taxes. If you have internet service at home or you want to pay your mobile bills, then you are always able to give out the telecom allowance to your employees so that they can save on taxes. When it comes to the gift wallet, you could transact it on any of the big e-commerce platforms. You could transact on the non-food category items and, get exempted from taxes. When we talk about the learning and development component, right? If you have employees who are looking to upskill themselves or reskill themselves, get an online course or get an online certification, you're always able to give out this allowance to those employees so that they can get benefited and save on taxes. Then there is gadgets and equipments. If you have employees who get in their own set of electronic gadgets, could be a laptop, could be a mobile device or a keyboard or a mouse, which they are solely using for official purposes, they could always make those purchases and save on taxes. Then there's books and periodicals, of course, if employees purchase books on a regular basis or any kind of magazines, journals, or newspapers, you as an employer could always grant books and periodicals as an allowance, and your employees could be benefited from it, right? So every month, such wallets or such components as allowances can be given out to your employees. Your employees can either transact for these components online or offline. Alternatively, they could also follow a reimbursement model wherein they submit relevant proofs, relevant bills, and still can avail these benefits. Now, let's talk about some of the limits of these components, right? So, as per the government, when it comes to the food wallet, each meal is capped at 50 rupees. So, let's say that you have employees who maybe work for 9 to 10 hours in the office, and you guys work for 5 days a week. That amounts to 2,200 rupees per month, right? When it comes, and this is something that you could use to transact on Zomato, Swiggy, Dunzo, Zepto, or any restaurant, any Kirana store, and so on. It is 2,200, but yeah, I'll come to the questions in a bit. Now, regarding the fuel wallet, based on the kind of vehicle you have in place, if the engine capacity of your vehicle is less than 1600 cc, you give out 1800 rupees per month. If it is more than that, then you give out 2400 rupees per month. Now, how do you know what sort of a vehicle your employee has? You will have to collect the vehicle registration certificate from them. For two-wheelers, It is capped at 900 rupees per month, and for four wheelers, an additional 900 rupees per month as driver's salary can also be given up, right? Then there is the gift wallet. As I said, it can be used to transact at any of the big e-commerce platforms, and this is something that you could. There is a limit of 4,999 per year, right? Approximately 417 per month, right? Now, for all the other components that we have in place, telecom, books and periodicals, gadgets and equipments, learning and development, there is no government defined limit as such. The allowance depends upon the kind of policy you have in place as an organization. So let's say you want to give out the telecom wallet. Either you could keep the allowance standard across for all the employees, that let's say you are giving 500 rupees to everybody every month, or it can be based on the employee salary structure. That's why it's called flexi benefits, right? If somebody makes more money, you give them a higher allowance and so on, right? While, of course, when you look at meals, fuels, or telecom, these still become some components which individuals like us use on a daily basis, right? But in today's world, when a lot of organizations are working remotely, it becomes super difficult for employers to keep their employees motivated and engaged, right? So that's when it becomes important for us to offer components like learning and development and gadgets and equipment so that employees are able to avail such benefits in any given organization. Another poll for you guys. So, on an average, how much do you think an employee can save on taxes with flexi benefits? So, you guys could type in your answers. Yes, I think Soumya has the right answer over here, depending upon the salary of and the contribution. Yes, Soumya is absolutely right. Now, moving on. Of course, all of your answers are more or less right? But based on an individual salary structure, if somebody falls under the higher package, you end up saving more. Now, why is it that you as an employer should be implementing flexi benefits in your organization, right? Like, why should you go over and beyond health insurance and offer this? So, overall, it leads to employee satisfaction, right? One very important thing that any employee would want to know or would want to be assured of is that their employer cares for them, right? Today, if you care for your employees, if you take care of your employees, they take care of your business, they take care of your customers, right? And when you take care of them, they commit to staying longer in your organizations, which means you are able to retain top talent in your company. And when such top talents stay and talk about the culture in your company, talk about the healthy environment that you've built for your employees, then you are also able to recruit better, right? So overall, you are able to build a healthy work environment for your employees and develop a very sharp, motivated skill force for your organization. Now, from an employee's point of view, why should you be picking or why should you be opting for flexi benefits? The answer is simple: savings, right? If you look at my table over here, there is different set of allowances that you can opt for. There is meal, fuel, gift, telecom, learning and development, books and periodicals, gadgets and equipments, and so on, right? Now, every month you give out a certain allowance, and annually this amounts to a total of 1,93,200 rupees. Now, there are different sets of tax slab that you fall under. If you fall under the 5% tax slab, having a gross salary of 5 lakh rupees, you save 9,910 rupees, right? Basically, 5% of the total allowance given out to you. If you fall under the 20% tax slab, then you save 39,640 rupees. And if you fall under the 30% tax slab, you save 59,460 rupees. Now, of course, meal, fuel, gift, and telecom, if you look at these components, these are something that we use on a daily basis, right? We purchase groceries, we are eating out. If we have our own vehicles, we are filling in petrol. We are at least once in a year shopping on any of the e-commerce platforms, and we all have internet service at home. We are recharging our mobile devices. So if we are able to save taxes on that, why not, right? So that is the sort of idea behind implementing flexi benefits in any organization. And when I say save on taxes, this amount gets reflected in your salary slip as the TDS amount being deducted, right? Now I'll very quickly pause and take questions. So I think someone asked if it is 2200 or 3000. So it is, as I said, based on your company's policy. Basically, each meal is capped at 50 rupees, and normally you would want to give two meals per day, which is 100 rupees per day. And if you guys are working for 5 days a week, that amounts to 22 working days in a month, which is 2200. Now you can go over and beyond if you guys are working maybe alternate Saturdays, or if you're working for all the 7 days a week, it can go up to 3000 rupees. So as per your company's policy, you can give out these allowances. Mm, I think Janvi had a question on the new tax regime. So, as per the new tax regime, the meal card is not valid, but all the other components that you see on my screen, fuel, gift, telecom, L&D books and periodicals, and so on, you are still able to save on taxes. Meenakshi, so this can be done via both the modes. You can do it via a reimbursement mode also, which is quite tedious because then your employees will have to save the bill, submit it, and then your payroll team has to validate these bills on time and so on, right? So, as an allowance, when it is given out and if it's loaded in a wallet or a card, then it's seamless for the employees to go ahead and transact at any of these categories, right? Are there some criteria to define? Yeah. So I think Ria had a question on gadgets and equipments. Again, you can define it as per your company's policy. But as I said, these electronic gadgets have to be sort of used for official purposes only, right? So it could be maybe a monitor. Let's say your employee wishes to bring in their own personal laptop. So it could be a laptop, it could be a mobile phone. Let's say somebody is in a sales job, they keep calling, so you can get a mobile phone for that matter. There could be a mouse, any kind of electronic gadget that they are using for official purposes can be exempted from taxes. Regarding how learning and development works, so basically you would want to, yeah, I'll just take this question. So basically, you would just want to let your employees know that there is a allowance of this sort, and every month you could load their wallet with a certain amount for learning and development. Now, what happens here is if there are certain set of employees, not all, but just a select set of employees who want to avail the a certain course, maybe an analytics course, maybe an online certification, they can always opt for it, submit the bill for it, and then accordingly claim that allowance. I will take the rest of the questions in a bit. Now we'll talk about an impact study with one of our partners. This partner of ours is India's one of the most popular media house, right? So, from an employer's point of view, at least they were able to track and monitor and see the different set of components that their employees are transacting. What sort of categories is it that their employees are showing most interest on in terms of utilization? And their rate of attrition decreased by about a whooping 42%, right? And now that one of our partners, since they've opted for our product, they no longer had to, or their payroll team no longer had to sort of validate the bills or verify the bills manually, so they were also saving up on their payroll costs. Now in terms of impact from an employee's point of view, each employee was, these guys opted for food and fuel wallet, so these guys were able to, each employee was able to save about 24,500 rupees per year. And since the last year when it was implemented, their utilization was about 83%, which is really high in this industry. And with our open network, since they have a lot of employees working remotely, right? Because I said this is a media house, they have a lot of journalists who are on the road. And with our open network, since they're always on the road and their transactions came in from tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4 cities, we saw that about 30% of these transactions came in from the remote cities, right? So that's the kind of impact we were able to make with our product. Now, how is it that you could implement flexi benefits in your organization? First and foremost, you would want to implement a policy. What is a policy? A policy is basically a document which sort of covers what allowances you wish to give out for this financial year, what are the respective limits that you want to give out, and basically certain criteria on the documentation and what are the different documents you would want to collect. Of course, the best practice to do it is hold a session for your employees, help them understand what sort of savings they can make. Then you float in a survey, because this is very, very important, right? Because these components are a part of your employees' CTC. So it's always good to take their consent when you are about to deduct that amount and load into a different wallet. It's always good to take their consent when you are going ahead with the policy, right? Now, from an employee's point of view, you will have to choose the limits and choose the component that work for you. Let's say that maybe when you from employee to employee, it could depend, right? Like, I don't have a four wheeler, I don't know how to drive a car, so a fuel allowance does not make sense to me. So you choose your component and limits as per your convenience, and then you go onto your payroll portal, declare and submit documentation. For example, if you opt for the fuel wallet, you would want to submit your vehicle registration certificate and so on. And then you go ahead and start transacting and start saving. Now we'll talk about another case study over here, wherein we are going to talk about what sort of an impact we made with a partner that implemented flexi benefits in the middle of a year. Right, we are talking about X to 10x here. One of my favorite partners at Pascare, right? So as I said, you implement the policy at the start of the financial year because you fix or you lock the policy with the salary structure for the entire year. Now, here's an example of a company that cares for its employees, right? They went ahead and set up this policy in the middle of a financial year. Why? Because their employees wanted to opt for it. Their employees were interested in saving more. They opted for food, fuel, telecom, learning and development, gadgets and equipments, books and periodicals. It was more like a jackpot for Pascare, right? With our one single card, they were able to go to any kirana store, any restaurant, or any petrol pump or restaurant for that matter, and transact there seamlessly, right? Like just one single card itself. And the kind of savings that each employee was making here was 34,860 rupees, and overall the savings of all the employees put together was 19 lakhs 17,315 rupees. So very, very proud of this partnership that we have here. Now that I have spoken a lot about flexi benefits, what are the best practices to implement it, here's a short video about what we have in place and how you could implement this for your organization. Great. So, just quick introduction about Pascare that we have here. We offer both a virtual card. All the wallets that I spoke about, we are able to offer all of these to you. We offer both a virtual card and a physical card. The online card is something that you could use in our online merchant network. We have an open network wherein, as long as the merchant falls under the right set of merchant category code, you are able to transact there successfully. And then we also offer a physical card. The physical card is accepted widely in our offline merchant network, right? And for the rest of it, I think you all have a lot of questions. I'll try answering a few of those now, but we could take this up with our on a one-on-one session with our experts. So you could scan on the QR code that is on my screen, and then our expert will be able to help you out. So if someone's changed the job, can it be transferred? No, but the amount will still remain in your wallet and you can still go ahead and transact. If it's not via reimbursement, as long as it falls under the government, Meenakshi, as long as it falls under the government defined limit, you can still, it will still be exempted from taxes. Um, Rakshay, I think not, these are for part-time employees. For part-time or distance education, this has to be a course that has to be completed in that particular financial year. So as long as they are able to do that, you will be able to avail on learning and development. Um, Yes, Nehal, you can check with your HR team on what allowances they are finalizing for the next financial year, and accordingly, sort of, give your inputs whether what are the different set of components that would make sense for you. Um, Yes, Soumya, it is important that the fuel allowance is for the employee who owns that vehicle. And the limits for the fuel allowance is decided by the government, and you have to stick to that limit only. Can employees use the telecom wallet for the? Yes, they can use it for. Ideally, it is supposed to be used for your own mobile recharges and for the internet service that you have at your home only. Yes, I'm saying it's right. Basically, all the components apart from meal is something that you could avail as part of new tax regime. Any IT companies where your product is launched? Yeah, we have couple of IT companies. Maybe when you set up a one-on-one session with us, happy to set this up and take you through the product and share further details. Mm. So Pooja, the learning and development course could be on anything, right? As long as it is sort of helping in enhancing the employee's skill set, which is dedicated to his workplace, you can go ahead and avail it. Yes, it can be any leadership course, any analytics course, or any kind of course that is going to benefit the employee in doing his job better in the company. Is the card applicable for usage in your? So our partner network is more like an open network, right? Like I said, these cards are restricted by government defined merchant category codes, which means any vendor who, let's say, falls under the food category merchant category code, you will be able to transact there successfully at the card machine which is placed at their outlet, right? So it's more like an open network. You could go to the remotest town. As long as there is a card machine in the outlet, you will be able to transact there successfully. If it is not spent, very good question. If it's not spent within this financial year, what happens to the unutilized amount? Basically, that amount becomes taxable, first of all. So, when you receive the salary for the month of March, taxes will be deducted on the unutilized amounts of your funds. The unutilized amounts can either be transferred back to your bank account, or it can move into an open wallet within Pascare itself. An open wallet is more like a non-restricted wallet. You can still transact it anywhere, just like a regular debit card. So UPI transaction is not possible, Somya, because as per RBI's guidelines, a UPI transaction or QR code based scanning is something that is not allowed by the RBI. Which is exactly why we are offering a physical card. The first physical card is also going to be free of cost for all the employees. This is to make sure that the card is also widely accepted in our merchant network. So UPI is something we do not support right now. As and when RBI gives us a go ahead, we'll be able to support that. Yes, all these components can be shown as part of the CTC. There is also the Income Tax Act link that you guys could look at. I'll just quickly paste it over here for your reference so that you guys can take this as a base and build on top of it. Okay. Mm. Yeah. So, Rishi, depends upon your company's policy, right? If you want employees to submit bills, then in our app, of course, we have the feature wherein you can get the bills uploaded. You can validate whether the expense was made at that time, on that date, and if the amount matches. So, it is completely as per your policy, but it is, yes, always recommended to collect bills, because let's say you give out the fuel allowance, you would want to make sure that the employee is filling in petrol for his vehicle and not for somebody else, right? He's recharging his mobile device and not somebody else's mobile device, right? So yes, it is obviously advised always that you collect bills from the employees. So Chaitanya, this has to come from your employee, right? Because these components are a part of your CTC. Your CTC is something that is finalized or fixed by your employer. So your employer will have to get this amount deducted from your enhanced salary and get it loaded in a certain wallet, and then you will be able to save on taxes. Is it possible to configure virtual card in app to pay? No, it won't be possible to configure the virtual card. The virtual card details or the online card details is something that you could enter on any of the online platforms. Let's say you're buying groceries on Swiggy or a meal from Zomato, you can enter the card details over there, and you will be able to transact there successfully. You can't pay via the app. Bank account, so your employer, Soumya, so when we share an unutilized amount report to your employer, they will be deducting taxes on the unutilized amount when they give out the salary to the in the month of March to you, right? So that's how that amount becomes taxable. Whatever the remaining amount is, it is still your amount. It either moves into an open wallet or can be moved back into your bank account. I hope that answers your question. Is there limitation on? There is no limitation as such. As long as you have a relevant policy in place, a holistic policy in place, you can opt for all of these wallets. Yes, I will just share the link again for your reference. Is there any service fee or surcharge? So I think for everybody asking for a service charge or surcharge details, let's have drop in a query with us. Please schedule a session with us, and we will be happy to sort of answer all of these queries for you. I've shared the link again. Yes, Soumya, if they are not able to use the card for a certain transaction, you are able to submit the bill. Let's say if it could be a fuel transaction or for a telecom transaction or a books and periodical transaction, you can always submit bills. For food and gift, however, it is not recommended that you submit bills, because in any given time it becomes quite tedious for employers to sort of track and monitor and validate bills for food transaction. Your employee take home salary actually increases with this amount, right? So let's say you opt for the food card and you fall under the 20% tax slab. Every month, your TDS amount gets reduced by 440 rupees. Right. So before also you were purchasing groceries and eating outside. Now also you are going to do that, except every month you are saving on 440 rupees if you fall under the 20% tax slab. Now this amount will only keep increasing if you opt for more and more wallets. Folks are not able to see the income tax link. So I think Soumya, if you want to book a session with us, please, I think you can see a QR code on my screen right now. Please go ahead and scan it, and you will be able to set up some time with our expert. Okay. Yeah, and you can also, I think, Soumya, it will take some time for the invite to get generated. You should see it shortly. Sure. I don't see your full name. I think your name on the screen is Redmi Note 7 Pro. So if you could, book a session with us, we'll be happy to take you through how you could break down different components for a sample CTC. Yeah, please go ahead and download, our version or sort of our template of flexi benefit policy that we've implemented. It's just a sample policy. Please do not take this as a Bible. Just build on top of this. This is a sample language of what is it that you could have in place, and, sort of replicate it for your own organization. I hope you're able to see the. Yes, please go ahead and scan the QR code that you can see on my screen and set up a session with us. We will be happy to take you through the product. What are the best practices to implement it? Show you some impactful numbers about how you could do this for your organization. So a good question there. As an employer, you are given a dashboard. You will be able to see the QR code is on the screen. Ritesh, okay, to download the thing. Yes. So, what sort of support is given? You are, of course, given a dashboard where in real time you are able to see the different utilization made by your employees across all the wallets that they've opted for. Now, apart from this, you as an admin will always be able to load the wallets, activate, deactivate if somebody is leaving. All forms of analytics will be given to you about how many people have completed the KYC process, how many have not, and you will be able to see real-time utilization reports, which you could download and see, and always deduct taxes on those unutilized amounts. So, apart from that, of course, there is going to be a dedicated customer support manager who's going to help you out with all of the onboarding process for you. Income tax link is not visible. Can you mail it to everybody? Yeah. So what we'll do is I think there is some issue here in the chat wherein I'm able to send. If you guys could, instead of clicking on the link, if you guys can just copy it and paste it on your browser, I think it should work. But nonetheless, post this call, me and my team would send out an email to everybody with this link in place so that you guys could look at it and see the different components that are exempted from taxes. Yeah. One second. I've answered that, yes. How it compares to a fixed benefit package? Like I said, this is over and beyond all the ATC, ATD investments that you've made, right? So these are flexi benefits wherein you are able to have flexible allowances or flexible limits on all the components as per your employee's convenience, as per their salary structure. Meaning, if somebody makes more money, you are able to give them a higher allowance. Yes, so you can take a free demo session. In our one-on-one session, you will have a free demo of our product. So go ahead and book it with us. You should receive the invite shortly. Proofs are not mandatory to avail tax benefit up to a certain limit. Which is, yes, Meenakshi, that is correct. So let's say that you want to give out fuel allowance higher than the government defined limit, right? As per the government defined limit, it is 2,400. So if you go over and beyond this limit, let's say you have certain employees who travel often for work related purposes. Some people who are in sales job, they're often on the road for their work. So you could always go ahead and give them over and above the government defined limit, provided you have the policy in place that yes, for such set of employees you have decided to give in a higher allowance. And second, you maintain logs at your end that okay, let's say Avlasha had to travel for a meeting at 3 p.m. on 27th of February to this particular place. If you maintain such logs, you are able to give a higher allowance. And yes, it is important for you to collect bills also in such cases. I think we have last 10 minutes in the session. So if you have any further queries, guys, please go ahead. So proofs are mandatory. Okay, but if employer has opted for company car, then this, yes, that's correct. If he's opted for the company car, then the limit can be as per your policy. You could change these benefits during mid-year, but yes, it is going to be quite a tedious process for you to do that because you ideally implement this at the start of a financial year and lock it for the entire year, right? So when you lock it for the entire year, then if you go back and forth in the middle of a year and want to make changes to the entire salary structure as an employer, you will have to make those changes. You will have to make declarations differently, which is quite a tedious process. Can be done, yes, but not advisable. Since we are about to start the next financial year, you are always, this is the best time to set it up and implement it for your employees. Yes, Snail, as I said, the best way to do it is at the start of the financial year. If you do it in the middle of the financial year, then there is a lot of chaos involved. Yes. Not sure what your question here is on the vesting period. Is there any particular, is there any waiting period? No, there is no waiting period as such. Basically, it's the start of the financial year. You, as an employee, would want to tell your employer that I want to pick so and so wallets, and then go ahead and declare it in your payroll portal. And once you do that, that's about it. There is no waiting period as such. Sure, Switej. So regarding gadgets and equipments, as I said, if there are any gadgets, electronic gadgets such as laptop or a monitor or a keyboard, mouse, uh, any kind of electronic gadget that you are using for official purposes, right? Let's say I'm in a sales job, so I keep calling, so I could get a mobile device and use it only for calling purposes, and I could have that amount deducted from my CTC and save on taxes. So that is the kind of component gadgets and equipment is. You, as long as these components fall under anything for official purposes, you are able to avail it. Good question. So mostly what we have seen, at least with our partners, we've seen that they've opted for food, fuel, gift, and telecom, right? as I said, these become some of the components that we use on a daily basis, right? We are in any given month, at least for 2200, we are purchasing groceries or eating out. We have our vehicles, we are filling in petrol. We have gift cards, we are at least transacting once in a year on any of the e-commerce platform. So if we are able to save on taxes, why not? But of course, as I said, since a lot of organizations are still working remotely and in a hybrid model, to keep your employees engaged and motivated, offering benefits like learning and development, books and periodicals, and so on, helps them to stay engaged and be overall satisfied with the company and its benefits. If you have the relevant policy in place for, let's say, food and gift card, it the unused benefits can be carried over to the next financial year. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for your queries. It's been a pleasure talking to you all. As per the income tax rule, how much transport allowance is non-taxable? There's nothing called transport allowance as such. It is basically fuel allowance. It is 2,400. Can you go to the slide where we are showing the limits? Yeah. So based on the kind of engine capacity you have in place, if it is less than 1600 cc, it is 1800 rupees per month. If it is more than 1600 cc, then it is 2400 rupees per month. Now, how do you know what sort of a vehicle your employee has? They will have to show their vehicle registration certificate. It has to be in their name only. Niveta, I think you have a question. Please go ahead and maybe yes, we'll try and do that, Meenakshi. And Niveta, please scan on the QR code that you can see on my screen. Please book a one-on-one session with our expert, and we'll be able to clarify all your queries. Great. Lovely, guys. Thank you so much. Yes, you will have to collect the certificate before approving the limit. So, lovely, guys. Thank you so much for, spending this time with us. It's been a pleasure talking to you all and answering your queries and taking you through some of the best practices to implement this. So, please take care and book a session with us. We'll be happy to take you through our product and share further details. And please stay tuned for the next PAS workshop. We are working closely with all the organizations here and making sure that we are sharing some key insights on employee benefits. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good evening ahead. Bye.